Although in this course we haven't talked about DNS in much detail yet. DNS we are going to talk about here in the next couple slide decks after this one. And we have talked about DNS in the prior course that's, to which this is a follow-on course. So DNS records, there's A records, well, as far as being able to access a client, the two important records in DNS are A records and pointer records, or PTR records, for being able to find either the IP address to a client or the host name from an IP address. So when a DHCP client registers, or rather gets an IP address on the network, it's helpful if the DNS server is made aware of this. That way, if somebody does a request for DNS information about one of the clients on the network, they'll be able to do so. So DHCP with Windows does support automatic registration in DNS with the Windows DNS server. So dynamic updates in DNS records, if requested by the DNS client or the DHCP client, they're always dynamically updated DNS records, and discards the A and pointer records when the lease is disabled or deleted rather. By the way, PRT should read PTR. My apologies for that. Dynamic updates DNS records for DHCP clients that do not request updates, and disables dynamic updates for DNS pointer records. So name protection is basically solves a problem where if you have a non-Windows computer or a non-Windows DHCP client, it may try to register its name on the network. This is called basically it's host name squatting essentially. But so DHCP name protection prevents name squatting by non-Windows computers by using a DHCP resource record called a dynamic host configuration identifier, or DHCID. So to configure DHCP name protection, you're going to right-click on the scope in the server in DHCP. You're going to click Properties, go to the DNS tab, click the Configuration button, and then click the Enable Name Protection box, which looks like this. And this will enable the feature in Windows, which will prevent this issue. So it's a good idea to use this in your network if you're using Windows DNS, and if you're using Active Directory, of course, in the Windows ecosystem. In the next slide deck, I'm going to talk more about DNS in general. Then we'll talk about security and some of the advanced options in DNS.